Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I decided to build a gingerbread house and I built it in Wittenberg, but this here is Granite Falls. And in case you're confused, I started to build in Granite Falls, but then I was running into a couple of technical difficulties. So later on, I'm going to move this build to Wittenberg. So it's technically a Wittenberg build. So I wanted to build a gingerbread house, and I wanted this house to look like a real proper gingerbread house. So I tried to keep the shape relatively simple. I added a diagonal section. You may have spotted it in the very beginning already. You will see later how I'm building it. Maybe this is a bit overboard already, but I don't know, I wanted this to be simple and realistic, but at the same time I just couldn't leave it this way. I mean, you see it's just one room and then we have the whole front section. I just couldn't do that. So I'm going to expand the build just a little bit later on. So a little disclaimer, I'm using the tool mod for this build, but you won't need the mod, so you can grab this from the gallery. It is CC free and unmodded in the gallery. I'm using the mod to bring all these objects, which you can see here, into the correct position, and you won't need the mod for this. Everything will still be in the correct spot, so you can just download it from the gallery if you want to. Just a little disclaimer in case you're like, what is this? I thought that this is CC free. It is. It's CC free, completely 100% no CC. And even though I'm using the tool mod here, as you can see right now for the roof, you can just download this from the gallery. So let's talk about the roof and what I'm doing here. So I wanted to have this very simple shape. So I just built a room, a couple of roofs, and that's it. And then I wanted to decorate it. And this was really tedious, but also the fun part. Just like for a real gingerbread house, you just assemble the house itself, simple shape, and then you start decorating. And decorating it is the fun part, I think. I think everyone agrees. It's just like baking a cake. Baking is fun, but then when you decorate the cake or cupcakes, decorating is always so much fun. So I was basically done building the house itself within like a couple of minutes, but decorating it took me a couple of days. You can see what I'm doing here. So basically I was taking a really good look at debug and I was trying to find some objects which would be perfect to decorate the house so it really looks like a gingerbread house. And this is a snowball, I think. I swiftly switched to summer and heat to see if it would melt. It didn't melt, so I think it's fine because I was concerned. I thought, okay, I'm going to build this, someone was going to place it in summer and everything is gone. I mean, I have no idea. I'm never really using these really crazy debug objects of food and stuff, so I have no idea what's going on. I thought it's a snowball, it might melt. I'm just going to double check. But everything was fine, so I used this to create this pattern. And I wanted to have this exact pattern, and the most simple way to achieve this was to use a fence on the ground as a guideline, and then I placed all these tiny snowballs, and then I used the tool mod to rotate the whole thing. I grouped them together to rotate them. So basically the white stuff is supposed to be icing, and then we have different candies on top, and the red candy is a water balloon actually. And then I used the magic beans to have a bit of color here and there for the roof, but mainly I've used lots of snowballs. And then for the columns in the front, I think it's an egg from Cottage Living, and then also a magic bean, and I've just used so many objects. And when I started to build this, everything was perfectly fine, and then the update came out, and after patching my game and loading it up, the game would just close, it would just crash, and the same happened over and over again. And then at some point I couldn't access live mode anymore, and I was building this in Granite Falls and I couldn't access live mode at all anymore, so I moved it to a different lot and it also wasn't working. But then on one specific lot in Wittenberg, I could access live mode and everything was fine. I have no idea what's going on. I thought it's because I'm using so many objects, but the game wasn't lagging, and also I've built huge mansions using way more objects, so I thought, okay, this probably isn't the issue. But then I thought maybe because I've like used so many objects and moved it around using tool, I don't know. But then I saw on Twitter that many people had the same issue. The game would just close and like different issues. So I think it's probably related to the patch. I don't know. I'm just happy that I was able to properly finish this build, and I hope that I'm not going to run into the same problems when I start to work on the next build for you guys. So we will see what's going to happen. Here I'm once again combining lots of different snowballs. So I wanted to create a snowflake just for decorative purposes. And the thing is, we have objects which can just be attached to a wall, and that's it, like a lamp, for example, a painting. But this object, it won't attach to a wall. And if you want to use any random object like this to decorate a wall, in combination with the tool mod, my advice would be to just assemble the whole thing on the ground, on the floor, and then you just rotate it, so it's much less tedious. And I also wanted to incorporate a chimney. As you will see later on, I used the debug snow from Seasons to simulate the look of smoke. And here I'm using another debug object. This is just a blank piece of paper and our canvas. There's also a paper available, but this is the canvas, I think. And I just used it to mimic the look of bricks on the chimney. And I always kept in mind that this is supposed to look like just decorated gingerbread. So it really looks like a gingerbread house. And the whole process was so much fun and so different. I mean, I was running into some technical difficulties, as I've explained, but generally the process was so much fun. Also, I've just talked about the wall decorations that I've created, and also the roof, just different things. And what I did was I made sure that all these objects won't obstruct your view when you are playing in this house. So I simply built a room, and then I built all these things or assembled them on top. You can even see it in the background here. This way, this object, this snowflake, is on the same level as the roof. So when you are on the level below playing, it will be gone and you won't see it. So I made sure that it's like manageable, functional. Only the columns in the front are visible, but all these objects are gone when you are on the level at the bottom, actually playing, taking a look inside the house. So this is what I would advise to keep in mind when you are decorating a gingerbread house, because there are just so many objects. It's always a good idea to just kind of hide them on the top floor so they are only visible from the outside. I mean, it looks beautiful and delicious. I kind of want to eat it, but I don't want to see all these candy pieces all the time while playing on the inside, because then they will just be in the way, which is annoying. So I made sure to avoid this. Here you can see how I'm decorating the chimney. I've used the debug snow from Seasons just so it looks like more icing. I've placed it in different areas. Here, for example, I'm hiding a slight imperfection just right next to the chimney. I've also placed it on top of the chimney. I'm going to place it in different areas, and also on the back of the roof. So you can see that the roof is fully decorated in the front. When it comes to the back, I've toned it down a bit. I'm also going to use the same pattern, but then I'm just going to use a couple of these snow pieces to make it look like icing, because I still wasn't sure what's the issue here. Is it just the patch? Is it the amount of different objects that I'm using? I also want this to be functional if anyone wants to download this from the gallery. So I wanted to minimize the amount of objects being used for this, so I kept the roof in the back a little bit more simple and not as detailed, which is sad, but I think it's a good decision, because I want this to be functional and I still have no idea what's really going on. Leave a comment down below if you're running into any issues currently when you are playing, or if it's just me. Maybe it's just one of the objects I'm using here, or again the amount. Like when you look at the roof, I've used lots of really tiny snowballs to create some type of wavy pattern. I've used so many, so it just might be that. I have no idea. I've used the True Mod to also duplicate some things that I had already created. For example, the column using the egg and the magic bean. I just cloned it and moved it to different areas. And the same goes for this frame that I've created for the window made out of snowballs. And I feel like all these little dots and details really give the impression of a gingerbread house. And I think it just looks so cute. At first I wanted to move all these snowballs into each other so it looks like a line, if that makes sense. But then I was going for the dotted look, so it looks like someone like used a piping tip and just created different dots. Also, building this really makes me want to decorate a real life gingerbread house. I've built 2 gingerbread houses in my life, or 3 actually. One as a kid, which was kind of a pre-made set. You just had to glue the different pieces together and had to decorate it. Then I made one with my mom when I was little, where we really created all the different pieces ourselves. So we just made the dough and all that. And then I also built one years and years ago, which was kind of a pre-made set that you just had to assemble. I don't know, I really want to create one. I think it's so cute and also delicious, but honestly, who eats these? Like, you just build them, you create them, and that's it. But you like, it's nice to look at and it might be delicious, but I feel like no one really eats these. It's just for decoration. It just looks really nice and that's it. And here I just created a fence. I used the cutting board from Cool Kitchen stuff in combination with lots of snowballs. So it just looks like gingerbread. Then I added a couple of presents from Seasons. I've used different decorations for Christmas, like the nutcracker in the front. But generally, I really wanted to keep these objects to a minimum on the outside, because I feel like if you add all the typical decorative objects which come with Seasons and the holiday pack, it just looks like a regular house and not like a proper gingerbread house, if that makes sense. So I avoided most of these objects. But here on the inside, I'm going to use lots of typical decorations, Christmas trees, and just different things. This is the kitchen. It's right in the center, so when you enter the house, it's right in the center. I've also added a dining table. This house is really relatively small. I added 2 bedrooms, a regular bedroom, like a master bedroom basically, and then a kids room, and there's 1 bathroom. It's not tiny, absolutely not, but it's also not a big mansion. There's just 1 level and it's not really spacious, so it's a cute little Christmas themed house, and that's it, just a cute little beautiful gingerbread house. So it's a bit different from my usual builds, which is also why I had so much fun. But usually when I'm working on a huge mansion, furnishing takes a really long time, and also the exterior, of course, when you build on a 64 by 64 lot and you have 8 bedrooms or something, it just takes a while. This year was so compact, but because of all the technical issues that I had after the patch, and because of all these objects that I had to place, it also took a couple of days. I think I could have also worked on a 64 by 64 mansion within that time span, but it was really fun to build something different. I'm also trying to get into the whole holiday spirit. I still haven't decorated, still too lazy, too tired. I'm so tired today. Like, I can't wait to just sleep today. It's like one of those days. I'm just counting down the hours until I can go to bed. If I go to bed too early, I will wake up in the middle of the night essentially. So I just have to power through this evening right now. But I'm so tired, and I feel like it just, when you look on the outside, it's so dark and gloomy, and I just want to sleep all the time. But I don't know, I'm just tired. And yeah, this is almost it. I've added lots of screenshots so you can take a look at this build. It's available in the gallery. My ID is KateEmerald. It's CC free and unmodded, so you can just download it. You won't need any mods or CC for this, so you can just let your Sims move in if you want to. And you can get the tray files on my Patreon. And speaking of which, it's time to thank my wonderful Emerald Patreons. A big thank you to Asia, Dawn Bryce, Jennifer Lewis, Kellen Rennie, Matthew Stell, Talena Lynn, Victoria Smithies, and 2 Cats Tailoring. Thank you so much for your big support. Thank you to all my other Patreons. Thank you to anyone who watches my videos. Thank you for all of your support. I love you so much. I hope you are doing well. Stay safe. I hope you have a perfect day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.